and welcome. This is News Now on TV360 Nigeria. We'll begin on a victory note as the Nigerian Army has announced troops killed 6 Boko Haram terrorists and destroyed their hideouts at Gawa and Boskoro villages of Mafa local government area of Borno. The Army spokesman, Brigadier General Sani Usman, says the gallant troops also rescued 3 women at Boskoro and have handed them over to internally displaced persons camp officials at Tikwa. Usman says they also recovered 3 pieces of 36 hand grenade, 4 Dane guns, 26 rounds of the anti-aircraft ammunition, 3 gas cylinders, and a set of bow and arrow. He says the theater commander Operation Lafia Doli, Major General Benson Akiroluyu, commended the troops and charged them to be more daring in clearing suspected terrorist hideouts. And in Zamfara State, the Nigerian Air Force says it has killed dozens of bandits in their hideouts near Damburu Hill. The NAF Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, says the thieves were killed in Operation Deran Mikia by the Air Task Force. Daramola also says the helicopters strafed the target's area in successive waves of attack, with the first wave causing some damage to the structures and neutralizing some of their fighters. He says the ATF scrambled 2 Nigerian Air Force attack helicopters supported by an ISR platform to engage the bandits and destroy their compound. He added that the Air Force will continue to work in close coordination with surface forces and other security agencies. Meanwhile, the Zamfara State Governor Abdulaziz Yari has denied that the state is under siege. Yari says the bandits are only taking advantage of the lack of adequate security in the state. He wants President Muhammadu Buhari to ask the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, to deploy more officers to Zamfara.
There's no any territory where they say the bandits are occupying. They're in the forest. But what they did, the problem what I share with the president, there's instruction given by the president that any policeman who spent more than 3 years in the state should be transferred. Unfortunately, when those who are transferred, they are not replaced. So out of 230 districts or 147 elective wards, which is hate of about more than 20,000 people exists, it's only in 23 that we have the outforce of police. So you can understand a number of places where there's no presence of security. And these people, they're aware. And that's at the areas that they hit. Wherever there's a police or there's a security present, hardly for them to get there. Because they're equal, they know they're equal to them. So, but they just got in the area that they know there's no any presence of security. So we have issues like that. So, which I explained to the president that we need the attention of IG so that the number that were reduced in the name of transfer, that should be replaced so that at least we can have the presence of security agencies in this place where they exist before, so that I think the opportunity getting by those bandits can reduce to a minimum.
President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with the Nigerian Air Force over the death of its officers. The 5 Air Force officers, which include 2 pilots, Flight Lieutenant Peruwe Jacob and Flight Lieutenant Kato Kiofas, as well as 3 other crew members who are Sergeant Awal Ibrahim, Lance Corporal Adamu Nura, and aircraftman Meshak Ishmael, were killed in an air crash in Borno State. The officers were on their way back from an anti-insurgency operation when the said incident occurred. President Buhari had asked all the anti-insurgency troops not to let the crash dampen their morale, and also condoled with the families and relations of the dead. Buhari has been meeting with the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, at the presidential villa in Abuja. The meeting, which held shortly after Friday prayers, ended without any official position given to the public. Idris was expected to retire after reaching the mandatory 35 years in service on Thursday, January 3rd. But there are speculations that his tenure might be extended till the elections are over. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has however called on Buhari to allow the IGP retire. The party said allowing this happen would give the president the opportunity to convince Nigerians and the international community that he's committed to free and fair elections. Meanwhile, after an 8-day standoff, the senator representing Kogi West Senatorial District, Senator Dino Melai, has finally surrendered to the police. The senator was led by his colleagues to the police headquarters, where he met with the Inspector General of Police. He has now been detained in police custody. Melai was wanted by the police for culpable homicide in the shooting of a police officer. He has maintained his innocence and accuses the police of infringing of his fundamental human rights. The Middle Belt Conscience Guard has thrown its weight behind the Nigerian Army in the proposed Operation Python Dance 3, expected to commence soon. The operation is expected to start this January and end February 28th, after all the elections must have been concluded. It has, however, generated controversy, and it is the subject of a lawsuit. The group, which is representing the north-central states of Benue, Nasarawa, Niger, Kogi, Plateau, and the FCT, says it fully supports the military, noting that the operation is coming at the right time when the general elections is drawing close, a period they say is prone to violence and criminality.
The Middle Belt Conscience Guard welcomes the Operation Python Dance that the Nigerian Army has launched across the country and meant to last until the end of February. We see the operation as being able to address the security concerns and challenges that we have identified. For us, it is a confirmation that the federal government is committed to tackling violence and criminal activities such as banditry, political aided killers, and other criminalities that worsen during elections. We are hopeful that the operation will be able to identify and apprehend any Boko Haram suspect that escaped southwards. The exercise should equally address areas in the Middle Belt where the terrorists were once known to have sleeper cells. We would like the last vestige of Boko Haram to be removed from our geopolitical zone. We equally desire that the banditry in the northwest to be contained by Operation Python Dance within that geopolitical zone, so that they do not ever have the chance to trouble the people of the Middle Belt. We believe this is a unique chance to decimate the criminals that have kept people across Nigeria agitated over the wanton killings that trail them everywhere.
Still on security matters, non-governmental organization Convention for Democracy in Nigeria, CDN, has condemned the People's Democratic Party for using the murder of former Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade and General Idris Akali as a political issue. The group says it is important for politicians to draw a line between politics and national security, stressing that the attempt by PDP to discredit the current administration is not in the interest of Nigerian safety.
Politicizing the deaths using the report is insensitive, and the PDP's attempt to malign the Nigerian government with the killings of Bade and Akali is irresponsible, even for a group of people that were long ago described as a nest of vipers. This desecration of memory of the departed is purely a prop for the purpose of elections. The intention is to instigate crisis in the polity and cause ethnic and religious strife that are all geared towards destabilizing the 2019 general elections. Proof has started emerging that the whole report is one huge scam, especially when PDP's arrowhead, Senator Bukola Saraki, Senate President, and Mr. Uche Secondus, PDP National Chairman, could not resist the temptation of being in a selfie with one of the talking heads they have financed to go on a television network to defend the lies in the reports. Evidence has equally emerged that it paid premium rates to promote the report so that it can have an extended play in media circles. It is no coincidence that someone that has been on television justifying the Taste by Moonlight document also met the men that have been making political capital out of the lies told in the report. As a partisan platform, Convention for Democracy will not sit down and watch any Nigerian or group of persons destroy the peace of the country. No one's ambition is worth destroying Nigeria for, and PDP should know this better with the benefit of experience. We therefore warn the PDP in the strongest terms to desist from using the misfortune of some Nigerians to promote disunity and hatred against the federal government, the military, or any other agency. The accusation against the federal government may make the PDP feel like it is gaining political mileage, but the reality is that the suspects arrested for the killing of these former military chiefs and other Nigerians will simply plead innocence in court and point to the PDP report as indicting different persons for the crimes. What the party is doing is dangerous because it has a tendency to allow the actual criminals escape, knowing that dastardly acts will be dismissed as politically motivated killing.
As Nigeria counts down to the 2019 general elections, one issue that has been carried over from 2018 is the growing problem of vote buying. The Independent National Electoral Commission has introduced several measures to curb the menace, but some analysts say the issue persists. One of those analysts, Jude Ojo, has been speaking on the roles that these security agencies can play to assist INEC.
The security agencies must be on top of their game. INEC itself must recruit credible ad hoc staff, not staff that are going to be compromised, not staff that will use their position as ad hoc staff to make money for themselves or for personal aggrandizement. Above everything are the political contestants and the parties. If they don't behave themselves, if they continue to engage in this desperate act of vote buying and voters inducement, there's no way we will have credible 2019 elections. Incidentally, I was an INEC accredited observer in July 14 Ekiti governorship election and September 22nd Osun governorship election. And I did witness some voters inducement or vote buying, as it were, on display. And of course, the clamor has been on that we need to do something drastic about that ahead of 2019 elections. You recall that as part of the measures to curb incidents of vote buying, INEC, towards the 2018 governorship election in Osun State, decided to redesign the setup of polling units, in which case voters will not have the opportunity of displaying how they vote, even though that has the secrecy of ballot has been something near sacrosanct in time past. But INEC took extra measure in Osun and also banned the use of smartphones inside voting cubicles. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. To curb incidents of vote buying, the security agencies need to be on top of their game. As I cited in my column in the Punch newspaper of 2nd of January 2019, it is very important for the security agencies to be very professional. I expect them to do sting operations in terms of trying to effect arrest of those who might want to engage in vote buying. There is also the need for adequate voter education.
The appointment of Amina Zakari as the chairperson of the Coalition Centre Committee has been generating controversy and has also been rejected by the opposition People's Democratic Party. Spokesman of the party of the PDP, Kola Ologbodiyan, says the appointment constituted direct violence against the presidential election. He wants the INEC chairman to reverse the appointment to ensure a free and fair poll. There are allegations that Zakari is the niece of President Muhammadu Buhari, who is also contesting in the election. The president is, however, yet to deny or confirm that. Meanwhile, INEC has responded to the opposition party with a vow that it would not remove Amina Zakari as head of the Coalition Centre Committee for the 2019 general elections. INEC has also denied claims that by heading the committee, Zakari will be involved in the collation of results. The commission announced Zakari as the head of the committee on Thursday when it inaugurated key committees for the election. We'll take a break here. Don't go away.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back, and with us to talk business is Fidelia Aguncha. Hello, Fidelia.
Hi, Aneta.
So the battle between the Nigerian labor unions and the federal government has been going on for months now. So what's the government doing to remedy the situation?
Well, in a bid to avert a planned nationwide industrial action, a delegation of the federal government is currently in a meeting with the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC, Trade Union Congress TUC, and other labor unions. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, led the federal government delegation. The Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udo Udoma, are also part of the federal government delegation. The Nigerian Labour Congress have been at loggerheads with the federal government over a new minimum wage. The NLC and other labor unions demand that the national minimum wage be increased to 30,000 naira from the current 18,000 naira, while President Buhari has refused to commit to the new proposal. And President Muhammadu Buhari has assured his administration is committed to the welfare of pensioners in the country. Buhari gave the assurance when he received a delegation of Nigeria Union of Pensioners led by the acting president, Comrade Musa Ayuba, at the State House in Abuja. The president also listed some of the achievements of his administration.
Let me now tell you some of the actions we have taken so far in connection with the pensions industry and what we intend to do in the next few years if the country gives us the mandate for a second term.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
The Directorate PTAD under this administration has saved 4.9 trillion naira per annum as a result of payroll clean-up under the civil service verification exercise. The supervised payment of pension areas to over 50,000 verified civil service pensioners. C. Supervised payment of 917.6 million naira to 432 war retirees. D. Seen to payment of 15,162 retirees of Nigeria Re-Nikon Insurance, Delta Steel Company, NITEL, MTEL, NDA, Federal Housing Authority, and New Nigerian newspapers. E. In August 2014, PTAD completed full payment of 5.8 billion naira to police retirees. F. In November 2018, PTAD paid 13.7 billion to parastatal retirees and 18 billion to civil service pensioners. These few examples testify to the government's positive impact on pensioners' lives.
And the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, has extended the 50% discount on business name registration till March 31. This means it will cost just 5,000 naira to register your business during this period instead of the regular 10,000 naira. The government agency made an announcement on its Twitter handle saying it took the decision to deepen the benefit of its reform initiatives. The body added that the extension was to enable micro, small and medium enterprises to formalize their businesses, which will enable them to own corporate accounts with banks, have access to loans, grants and other government interventions. Oil prices rose on Friday, shaking off early losses after China said it would hold talks with the U.S. government on January 7 and 8 to look for solutions to a trade dispute between the world's two biggest economies. Brent crude futures were at $56.33 a barrel, while U.S. crude futures were at $47.73 a barrel. Both benchmarks are on track for solid gains in the first week of 2019, trading despite rising concerns that the Sino-American trade war will lead to a global economic slowdown. The firmer prices came after China's commerce industry said it would hold vice ministerial level trade talks with its U.S. counterpart in Beijing. The two nations have been locked in a trade war for much of the past year, disrupting the flow of hundreds of billions of dollars worth of goods and stoking fears of a global economic slowdown. Well, let's now look at activities on the stock market after this. Well, closing the day with 28 losers against 10 gainers, the market breadth closed negative, nosediving by 0.43% and pushing the all-share index down to 30,638 basis points and the capitalization to 11.425 trillion naira. This means the market has lost 792 points in the all-share index and 295 trillion naira in capitalization, while losses recorded by equities in the industrial goods sector is largely responsible for the drop in the market today, with low cap equities, as we can see, suffering the most on the losers table here, and suffering the most, and Chemical and Allied Product PLC, CAP, and Better Glass are the biggest losers, dropping by almost 4 naira. And true to the gambler's fallacy, these two equities are falling after their share price remained unchanged for close to 2 weeks. This means most investors were of the opinion that the shares of these stocks was either going to take a good or bad turn in the nearest future, and to remain on the safe side, they sold off most of their shares to salvage whatever profit they could gain from it. Third on the chart is Forte Oil, giving up its spot on the gainers chart as seen yesterday. Well, this can be attributed to the effect of Otedola's divestment of its entire shares in the downstream business, which has made investors quite wary. While the process is expected to become completed by the end of the first quarter of 2019, which will see Otedola become 25 billion naira richer. Now, that's a good example of a very fruitful long-term investment. And talking about gainers right here, let's move to the gainers chart. As we can see, Okomu Oil makes its first entry on the gainers chart for 2019 with a 3.8 naira growth in its share price, while a report showing that Nigeria's agricultural sector saw a massive boom in 2018 and a target of food production sufficiency in 2019, it is a no-brainer that investors' confidence in this sector is pretty high. Well, Nigeria Brewers is making its second entry on this chart, while Stanbic and Guarantee Trust Bank are bouncing back from losses recorded yesterday. And moving on to the global chart right here. Well, the Nikkei is the only one in the red. The FTSE and Dow Jones have made a major comeback on the heels of gains recorded in crude oil prices. The Dow has so far gained over 500 points, which is an impressive 2.43% rise, and the FTSE, on the other hand, climbed by 2.15%. The Nikkei, however, suffered the same fate as the NSE, dropping by a heavy 2.26%, which comes after China said it would hold talks with the U.S. government on January 7 and 8 to resolve trade disputes. Well, that's it on business. It's back to Annetta.
Thank you for that, Fidelia. And despite the fact of today's markets in the U.S., the United States employers have actually added over 300,000 jobs. That was last year in December. So the economy still has some strength in it because those figures were actually more than economists predicted. So despite that loss, stocks are still climbing up steadily. And in Japan, so sad that after Wednesday and Thursday's holidays, they're resuming a fresh trading session for the year in losses. And that's despite the fact that other Asian markets, especially in China, closed higher.
Yeah, that's true. For the Dow, I think hopes that the government shutdown will soon be over is another factor that actually affected the market and made it close recording gains because, you know, the House has sent a file to Trump, that is the president, hoping that they will end the government shutdown, which has been ongoing for more than 2 weeks. So I think that also is a contributing factor to the rise recorded on the Dow Jones.
Yes, indeed. And I do hope it catches up soon with other global stock markets.
I hope so.
So we'll take a break now and we'll turn to Africa. Do stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
What do you want to buy?
Potato. Small baskets. I want plantain. But why your plantain can't hard like this?
Madam, now the outside hard. Inside there, it is very soft.
Madam, wallahi make her no buy them. Make her show you something. What? What's in this one? Madam, this one now the chemical where they put on for the plantain make her ripe up.
So you dey put chemical for plantain where people go chop?
No water, no be chemical. Madam.
You know, say Pela, I don't talk and say water and not be enemy. Drink come.
Where you collect that water, drink come.
I just stop finish. See my belly. I found it don't big. I just stop drink water finish.
Wait, you didn't come now. And they sell plantain, I go come put on for chemical because I want to make a ripe go. That's why I talk now corruption. Corruption. Not be for this kaswa, come not be for this country. Now me take
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
You're welcome back. The United Nations says at least 16,000 people have fled into the Democratic Republic of Congo's neighbor after intercommunal clashes erupted last month in the southwest of the country. The UN's refugee agency says violence in Yumbi in the DRC province of Mai-Ndombe prompted an exodus to the neighboring Republic of Congo, also known as Congo-Brazzaville. The UNHCR spokesperson, Andre Mahetic, says that the violence stemmed from long-standing tensions between two communities in Yumbi. He also says it had nothing to do with last Sunday's elections in neither the DRC nor a dispute over delays in the vote count. Now, Sudan's government has announced an increase in civil servant salaries following protests against sharp price increases. In a speech today, President Omar al-Bashir blamed the economic crisis on the loss of oil revenues since the 2011 secession of South Sudan, which he said had been worsened by the impact of U.S. economic sanctions that ended in 2017. The opposition is calling for another wave of mass protests to take place on Friday. They are also demanding that President Bashir steps down after 3 decades in power. The Democrats-controlled U.S. House of Representatives has voted it to end a partial government shutdown, but the move looks certain to be vetoed by President Donald Trump. Trump has said he will reject any measure that does not provide funding for his proposed U.S.-Mexico border wall. Now, new House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says no funding for the wall will be made available. The Republican-run Senate said it might not even vote on the legislation. Chairman of the League Management Company, Shehu Deko, says the proposed January 13th date for the kickoff of the 2019 session of the Nigerian Professional Football League is unchanged. The Super 8 was scheduled to begin on January 3rd, but the league body wrote to the Nigerian Football Federation for a shift in commencement or date to January 5th. That created some confusion, but Deko says the NNL playoffs will not affect the LMC plans to start the league on January 13th. Liverpool defender Andrew Robertson says a first Premier League defeat of the season at the hands of rivals Manchester City will not be decisive in the title race. An 2-1 loss at the Etihad on Thursday ended the Reds' 20-match unbeaten league start and cut their lead at the top of the table to 4 points. But Robertson insists that the defeat does not change anything. And that's our package on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.